Bridgeport, Connecticut, in the throes of an ordinary day, carried its provincial charm with a veneer of banality. The customary clamor of the small town served as the overture for the grand drama of the day. Amidst this spectacle, a figure of solidity and steadfastness, Detective Enoch Lewis moved with a quiet grace, a lighthouse amid the squall of quotidian life. Enoch's sun-etched face bore the resilient lines of a life of duty and hardship. The piercing gaze of his sharp eyes held an indefinable depth, as if they'd borne witness to fire and ash. Yet his voice carried the tranquility of a lullaby, spreading a sense of serenity that was hard to resist. "Morning, Martha," Enoch greeted the baker, picking up a familiarly wrapped pastry. Martha, a round, jovial woman, beamed at Enoch, her cheeks bunching up like two rosy apples. "Always punctual, aren't you? Just like this apple strudel here," she gestured at the pastry. Chuckling, Enoch strolled towards the town's fulcrum, the Bridgeport General Hospital, the cornerstone and the pulsating heart of the community. An old edifice of brick and mortar, its walls were steeped in history and countless untold stories. As he walked through the front doors, he could almost taste the tang of antiseptic, mixed with faint echoes of anxiety and relief that seemed to imbue the air. The hospital administrator, a scrawny man with glasses perched precariously on the bridge of his nose, met Enoch with a nervous smile. "Detective Lewis, thank you for coming so promptly," he said, his voice wavering like a brittle leaf in the wind. "It's about the missing persons, you see." "From this hospital?" Enoch interjected. The administrator nodded, launching into a convoluted account of the odd series of disappearances. Enoch listened, his brow furrowed in thought, the shadows of past traumas stirring beneath the firm facade. Always during the witching hour, no trace left behind, just poof, the man finished dramatically, spreading his hands wide. Enoch raised an eyebrow, digesting the information. A cryptic puzzle was being laid before him, drawing him into its enigmatic embrace. Leaning back, he watched the administrator scurry away, his footsteps echoing ominously in the quiet hallway. He sighed, feeling a familiar wave of determination washing over him. This was his duty, his debt to be repaid, and he would unravel the mystery, one thread at a time. His gaze was drawn to an old, weathered door at the end of the hallway. It bore a faded sign that read "Burn Unit." His heart quickened. The past and the present seemed to collide, stoking the embers of an old fire within him. The ordinary day in Bridgeport was retreating, giving way to an undercurrent of the extraordinary. Just as the veil between Enoch Lewis, the dutiful detective, and the cosmic warrior began to thin. The fluorescent bulbs overhead hummed a song of disquiet, mirroring Enoch's unsettling journey through the hospital's archives. The records, a labyrinth of cryptic histories and missing pieces, became a reflection of the greater puzzle he found himself entangled in. Each file he sifted through was like a forgotten lore, shrouded in a tapestry of ambiguity and whispers of forgotten conversations. His investigation meandered through a forest of statements and interviews. Every testimonial seemed to breathe life into the missing people, casting phantom shadows that danced in his mind. Dr. Lisa, the young pediatrician who'd just finished her night shift when she vanished. Night watchman Paul, who'd stepped out for a smoke break and never returned. And the patients, ordinary souls caught up in extraordinary circumstances. "Always around 3 in the morning, Doc," the burly security guard Samuel testified, his gaze lingering on the cigarette burn scars on Enoch's hand. A flicker of understanding passed between them, an unspoken dialogue, a shared dance with fire in its aftermath. The cold sterility of the hospital gave way to an eerie silence as Enoch found himself standing before the forsaken burn unit. The door groaned under his touch, a lament to its abandoned past. Inside, the air hung heavy with an atmosphere that smelt of old medicine and darker things. Dust particles danced in the shafts of the pale afternoon light that strained through the grimy windows, casting ghostly shadows. A chill crawled up his spine, a sense of déjà vu, mingling with his own haunting past. His heart hammered in his chest as he ventured deeper. A spectral figure, veiled in smoky tendrils, caught his eye from the corner of the ward. He chased after it, but the elusive figure receded further into the shadows, its form dissipating, leaving behind an aroma that was not of this world. It was a scent of ancient dust and cosmic voids, an echo of a reality beyond the understanding of mere mortals. His path seemed to darken, the walls of the burn unit closing in, as if the hospital was keeping its secrets close. The voices of the missing echoed through the maze like corridors of the old wing, their whispers seeming to ask for help and deliver a warning at the same time. His resolve hardened. As he stepped outside, night had fallen over Bridgeport, dressing the town in an ebony veil. He walked through the quiet streets, each step echoing the steady rhythm of his beating heart. A shroud of unease cloaked the town, the weight of the disappearances settling in like an unwelcome guest. He felt the gravity of his duty pull at him. His resolve to repay his debt was stronger than ever. The labyrinth of Bridgeport Hospital had invited him in, and he would tread its enigmatic paths, even as a sense of foreboding wove itself into the fabric of his destiny. With the fall of night, the idyllic charm of Bridgeport mutated into a canvas of shadows and spectral whispers. Enoch, ensnared within this transformation, felt the first tendrils of trepidation coil around his mind. His sleep was a turbulent ocean, dotted with dreams spawned from the cosmic abyss. Nebulous apparitions, an inferno that held no heat, and lurking within the fire, monstrous silhouettes watching him with eyes that echoed 1,000 alien constellations. Awakening, he found himself staring into the darkened confines of his room, the cold sweat on his brow a stark testament to the harrowing visions. His world was tilting, reality and nightmares merging into a chaotic dance, a siren call of the abyss. Yet within him, a flame of determination flickered stubbornly, illuminating the depths of his resolute spirit. Through the haze of exhaustion, he arrived at the town library, a haven of knowledge and secrets nestled amid the innocuous facade of Bridgeport. The bespectacled librarian, Miss Adele, greeted him, her eyes darting nervously to the dusty section marked local history. An unspoken dialogue passed between them, her eyes whispering warnings of the ominous trail he was about to embark upon. The more he delved into the archives, the more the labyrinthine narrative of the hospital unfolded. Whispered rumors of the hospital's founder, a renowned yet enigmatic figure with a penchant for the occult, coursed through the yellowed pages. The clandestine circumstances of the old burn unit's construction resonated within Enoch, the echoes of an age-old, malevolent chant. Amidst the twilight gloom of the hospital, he saw the spectral figure again. But this time, he did not pursue it. He met its gaze, a smoky reflection of the missing people. Its voice was a ghostly echo, a hushed whisper that spiraled into cryptic warnings, before it dissipated into thin air, leaving him amidst the deserted hallways. His heart pounded like a war drum in his chest, a rhythm that matched the pulse of the otherworldly mystery encircling him. The spectral figure, an enigma in itself, was a twisted reflection of his own path, trapped between realms, between duty and the unimaginable. The town of Bridgeport slumbered around him, oblivious to the cosmic dance unfolding beneath its ordinary visage. Yet, within its dream, it murmured troubled prophecies, and Enoch found himself standing on the precipice of an abyss that stared back. His story was intertwined with that of the spectral figures, a tragic ballad that sang of impending dread and a commitment to the truth that would not waver. The veil of reality had begun to tear, revealing glimpses of the cosmic terror hidden beneath. A crescendo of unease echoed through Bridgeport as the quaint veneer of the town revealed fractures through which the relentless hum of cosmic horror seeped. Enoch stood as a beacon in this approaching storm, the shadow of his determination spreading across the trembling town. Inside the now almost ominous hospital, he unearthed the founder's journal, an ancient relic of cryptic revelations. Each parchment was a canvas of horrific rites and unholy incantations, the ink symbols seeming to pulsate with an unearthly energy. Reading through the gnarled handwriting was akin to a forbidden dance, a descent into a symphony of madness where reality blurred at the edges. Awakening the ageless entity, offerings for the cosmic rift, Enoch murmured, his voice a grim echo in the hollow hospital. The truth that unveiled itself was monstrous. The missing persons were not merely victims, but offerings, pawns in a cosmic game of chess. The burn unit, a dormant conduit for the ancient cosmic entity, lay beneath his feet, a ticking time bomb echoing the rhythm of an ancient, sinister clock. In the depths of his nightmares, the abyss yawned wider, swallowing the remnants of normalcy. Spectral figures, no longer just passive observers, reached out from the void with smoky tendrils, dragging him into the cosmic horror he was beginning to comprehend. The visions became more aggressive. Cosmic entities with 1,000 eyes and 1,000 voices whispering of impending doom. Yet within this chaos, he found a strange solace. The eye of his storm was his loyalty, his sense of debt that burned brighter than the fire of the abyss. His descent into madness was not a downfall, but a transformation. He was no longer just a detective. He was a guardian standing at the threshold of two realities. As dawn washed over Bridgeport, the hospital stood as an unholy monument against the blush of morning light. An invisible thread of dread connected every soul in town, an intuition of the darkness nesting within their midst. Enoch felt this, the weight of the town's fear and his duty converging, pulling him into the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. The descent into madness had been arduous, yet necessary, an ordeal that forged his resolve into a weapon against the looming horror. Even as the cosmic entity stirred within its slumber, he stood resolute, his spirit refusing to falter. The day had sunk into the chasm of twilight, leaving Bridgeport under an inky canvas speckled with stars. Enoch stood before the hospital, a fortress of secrets bathed in the pale glow of the moon. Within its haunted halls, an ancient slumber was being disturbed. A cosmic entity stirred to wakefulness. As he ventured into the bowels of the hospital, the spectral figures gathered around him, their smoky forms writhing like smoke caught in a tempest. The labyrinthine corridors seemed to pulse around him, echoing the throb of an imminent cosmic birth. An unseen force guided him to the heart of the labyrinth, the burn unit, a gateway to the cosmic abyss. There, within the silence of the forgotten ward, reality began to unravel. Walls groaned under the strain of unseen forces, and the fabric of existence shivered, caught in the throes of a monstrous awakening. The cosmic entity, a formless terror lurking in the corners of mortal comprehension, began to emerge. Enoch's sanity teetered on the precipice, but his steadfast resolve rooted him firmly to the reality he was bound to protect. He clung on to his conviction, his heart echoing the rhythm of his debt repaid, a beacon in the storm of otherworldly chaos. The spectral figures converged, their smoky forms merging to form a colossal apparition. It reached out to the entity, their forms intermingling in a horrifying spectacle of cosmic communion. Yet amid this chaos, the apparition turned to Enoch, extending a tendril towards him. The whispers of the missing filled his ears, a plea for salvation. Summoning his courage, he stepped forward, reaching out to the spectral apparition. As he made contact, a wave of agony and longing crashed over him, the echoes of the lost souls reaching out from the abyss. Holding on to his determination, he whispered words of comfort, of absolution. The burn scars on his hand flared, the ghostly remnants of his trauma a mirror to the spectral anguish before him. Under his touch, the spectral apparition shimmered. The smoky tendrils started to dissolve, revealing the lost souls. One by one, they blinked out of existence, their departure marked by a sigh of relief, a gentle zephyr in the maelstrom. The cosmic entity recoiled, its monstrous form wavering under the onslaught of human resolve and empathy. With a final monstrous roar, it retreated, sinking back into the cosmic rift from which it emerged, the burn unit's walls sealing shut behind it. The silence that fell over Bridgeport was one of relief, of the calm that follows a storm. As dawn broke, the ordinary rhythm of life slowly resumed, an endearing testament to human resilience. The cosmic horror had awakened, and so had the town's guardian. Enoch stood amidst the hush of the new day, a silent sentinel of a tale that was written in the stars and etched in the heart of Bridgeport. He was the awakening in the absolution, the silent hero in the tale of an ordinary man turned extraordinary. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.